Kaizer Chiefs fans threw objects at Team Lifintsegi. Not only were they not satisfied with the result of the game, which was a 1-0 loss to TS Galaxy, but it was also the fact that the team did not perform in a satisfactory manner. On top of that, there were other issues that Chiefs has that fans are increasingly getting frustrated with. But I will say that I think Kaizer Chiefs actually have tried to solve one of those problems, and I saw that in the game that they played against Stellenbosch at Athlone Stadium. Now, there are obviously still some issues which we will talk about, but there are also some good things that we need to talk about, because as we always say, if we are going to criticize the team when they don't do well, we should also be able to say the team has done well if they're doing well, because we are not trying to be negative about Chiefs, but we are trying to give constructive criticism when there is constructive criticism that is needed, but also to say bravo Kaizer Chiefs if they are doing well. Right? So let's talk about the game. Let's talk about all these things that I saw from that game. Hello and welcome to Khosi Nation Fan TV. I am Pelo, I am your host, and this is where fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs. I'm a Khosi Football Club. I don't know how my eyes look, but if you see them being red, no, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do none of those things. It's just that what happened is I slept a grand total of 2 hours last night, because I left work at 2:30, and then after that I went straight to OR Tambo International Airport, where I got my flight to Cape Town at 4 p.m. and then I flew to Cape Town. I arrived at around 6:10, and then I went to the stadium, arrived at the stadium around 7:10, and then the game started at 7:30. The game ended around 9:30ish to 10 there, and then when we got back to the house, there was no load shedding, because my friend Lucia, shout out to you, has a place in Cape Town because he works there. And then I had to edit some videos, obviously, to upload on TikTok and all that stuff. And after doing that, I upload the videos, we buy food, and after that I sleep at 1, I sleep at 2, I wake up at 4, get a plane at 5:40, come back to work, and I'm exhausted because I've been working ever since, and now here we are. So that's just something that I can actually communicate better in a vlog. So if you are interested in me making vlogs on this channel, it will still be about Kaizer Chiefs. It will be showing background things that we do when recording the content, when traveling to the stadiums as well. So if you're interested in that kind of content, do let me know, and then I can make those vlogs. If you don't want vlogs, then I won't make vlogs, because I make content that you will enjoy. So I just had to say that before we dive in to the match. Okay, now I will start with the goalkeeper situation at Kaizer Chiefs. And I said this on Twitter, and I will say it again over here. One problem that Brendan Peterson has had as a Kaizer Chiefs keeper, he actually has one big problem. It's not the mistakes that he has made, because Kun has made mistakes. Every other keeper in the world has made a mistake. Show me one keeper who hasn't made a mistake. I think his problem is the fact that people still want Ukune. Because here's the thing, Brendan Peterson can make 700 saves and concede one goal from a silly mistake. People will zoom into that mistake and forget about everything. Here's what happens yesterday. The game starts, people are already saying, Peterson Hambe Palin, Peterson Hambe Palin. And once again, I say this, I always go to these games. This season I've gone to all the games, and I sit behind the technical area all the time. It was only one time where I didn't, Mbombela, but I could still see where the technical team were and what they were telling Peterson. And not once did they tell him to go back to goal, which says to me they don't mind him coming out, because he's playing as a sweeper keeper, because the Chiefs is playing high line, so they play the ball over our defense, and Peterson can come out and clear that ball away. Right? That is why Peterson engahlale paleni, because he's instructed to do so by the technical team. But again, another thing happens with Peterson. He comes out to save the ball. They foul him. He ends up dropping the ball. The referee rightfully gives a foul. People are booing him. And then they say, Peterson ulimele. They start saying, Kune, Kune, Kune. What is wrong with you? Like, honestly, why would you it was literally kicking a man. Well, not literally, but it was almost literally kicking him while he was down. Because he was down and people were saying, Kune must come in. Have you not played football and do you not know that if a keeper is fouled, they must be protected? And if a keeper is fouled, even if you're holding the ball, if someone hits you, you're gonna let go of the ball and focus on the pain. But Bonabat said Lisil. And then Peterson for the rest of the game, he's pulling saves left, right, and center. And now all of a sudden the guy behind me who was busy saying Kune must come in, Peterson must go out, he was now quiet. Which tells me Uguti, they are so good at spotting when Peterson is doing what is bad or mistakes. Mistakes are mistakes, but they are not so great when it comes to spotting with Peterson doing the good things, which is why I think the problem that Peterson has is not necessarily that he's made mistakes, but it's the fact that people want to Kune, and whatever that happens with Peterson, they will still find a reason to blame him. He was the man of the match last game, which to some people might say, yes, Peterson made a good game, had a good game, but to some people it might say, our goalkeeper was the man of the match. That's kind of worrying because that means we are conceding a lot of chances. And we are conceding a lot of chances. Why? Well, we'll touch on that later on in the video. Let's go to our defense. Our defense, once again, Mlifinsegi plays, it wasn't the same because from the previous game, we had Shanti at left back, we had Frostlight right back. But in this game, where the Frostlight left back had a solid game, one of the contenders for the man of the match because he really had a solid game because also he's playing out of his position. He knows how to play as a left back, but as a makeshift. Had a very solid game at left back. At right back, another person who had a okay game, a solid, let me just say solid, Ukwinik, right? Ditlokwe nomsimango, once again, solid game. I will say this about Ukwinik, and I like to clarify this every time I say it. Kwinika, going back, I rate him. I think he's good defensively, right? Or should I say he's okay defensively? Okay, good is fine. I think good is fine. Kwinika is good defensively. But when it comes to offensively, akekho mnandi. Angithi uyinkomo. It's just not his game. There are players like that ukuthi they can do certain things, but they can't do certain things. And it's okay. It's okay. People will always used to say to me, Mpilo, Kwinika played right back at Vetsi or wherever he played before. They will tell me where he played. I'm like, when did he play at right back? You're going to tell me Kwinika played at right back 7 years ago or 5 years ago. Modern football has evolved so much, or football has evolved so much. So each year there is a new tactic that is being introduced, and it requires players to play in a certain way. And if you are still a traditional right back, you will be solid defensively. But when we go forward, you are going to become a liability. Because whenever Ukwinika was passed the ball, whenever the ball was passed to Ukwinika, Stellenbosch were pressing him and making sure they get the ball back from him. Whenever Stellenbosch had the ball and were attacking, Kwinika was there to stop the attack. You see how this thing is beneficial. Uguti defensively is there, but offensively he's not there. So now that's the problem. Yoguti is Untsegi going to say, I'm going to live with this trade-off. Yoguti defensively umnandi, so I need him to do his primary job very well, but not rely on him as a fullback who's going to overlap. Because when teams defend, they're not just defending with a left back. The winger also goes back. So now you have a situation where our winger, which is Utupri or Potsane, whoever that is now being marked by a left back and a winger. It's a 2v1. That battle is never going to be won. But in modern football, we have learned Uguti, this fullback takes the other person and makes a run, and then the winger will now track this person, and then now you are left with a 1v1 with our dangerous winger with the left back. Now the situation is more dangerous. So you see Guti, now all of a sudden a player who's giving you so much defensively is not giving you anything offensively, and now we have a problem. So I think that's just a thing that Untsegi is probably asking himself, Guti, against the Sundowns, is he going to take the good Gakweneka, or is he going to say, you know what, let me go with Solomons? Because to me, Solomons has the pace. He can deal with the pace Kamasego. Number two, offensively can go forward, because now another thing that I saw, we ended up playing on the side Frostlight a lot of times because the guys also seem to doubt passing the to hesitate to pass the ball to Quinik because they know ukuthi akekho that great with the ball on his feet. So bebegcina bedlala ngapha ngezansi ku-Frost ibhola all the time. And then by the time ibhola liswitch aliya ngale kwa-right, they know ukuthi uQuinik asekumele defend kuphela. That's all he was basically doing. And it's kind of a shame because, you know, if a player tries his best and you can see what he's trying, then you kind of feel for him good ish. Now he just needs to adapt. Then we go to our problem in midfield. We're going to talk about the thing that I talked about earlier, because now I'm talking about individual players and I'm going to give them ratings, and I'm also going to I'm so tired. I'm also going to talk about the overall problem and the overall solution and the overall thing that I'm impressed with, or that I was impressed with, that is. So in midfield, that's arguably our our weakest point in the field. So one of the things that did happen is that Matt played a good game, better than the other games that he's played, and I was looking at him thinking, oh my god, I just hope Matt has a good game, because I don't like this thing yokuthi abadlali abe scapegoat ukuthi yonke into, if it's not happening well, kuzothi Matt. In the next game, which was the case yesterday, it wasn't even Matt was now being the target man or targeted as a bad player. But in yesterday's game, the bad player was Umtansane, because that's who people were booing, that's who people were not talking good things about. I'm not going to defend him. He didn't have a good game. He really didn't have a good game. That's all there is. Sometimes players don't have good games, and it's okay. It happens. Now, the question is he going to learn from that? Because remember, against Amazulu, he didn't have a good game again. So now, is Unsege going to do what he said about Peterson Guti? If a player is not having the greatest of games, we don't just throw them away, but we try to encourage them and keep them in the game. Because if you do that against Sundowns and it doesn't have a good game, and you end up actually having a player who's a liability on the field, questions are going to be asked, because people are going to say, oh, why did you play Umtansane while we clearly saw good against Amazulu and against Stellenbosch he wasn't having a good game? Why bring him back? But then again, you make a change against the Sundowns, and all of a sudden our midfield is now even more unstable, and now people are gonna say, why change a team that has played 2 games in a row and won? Yabogut, it's a tricky situation. So that is why you might actually see Mtatsane coming back, because Unsegi doesn't want to send a message Yoguti, if you're out of form, all of a sudden you are going to be dropped like that. Which, by the way, should kind of be the case to a certain point, because you're not going to drop everyone, but then people are going to say, but you drop some people when they're underperforming, and you're not dropping some who are underperforming. So are there double standards here? It's interesting. It's up to you. What do you think about that situation, Gamtanzan? Do you think he brings him back, or do you think he benches him? And if he does bench him, who does he bring him in instead of him? Because does he bring in Unsebe again and go defensive? I am joking, of course. I can't even laugh. That's how tired I am. By the way, please do like the video. Please do subscribe to this channel. I'm recording with a very new phone today. Well, it's new. I used it to record even yesterday. So I'm not sure ukuthi ngivela kanjani, because, you know, the picture is on the other side. Matt, again, okay game. What I have a problem with our setup in midfield is that, relating to the overall setup of the team, which is something that still worries me, but what I am happy about the Chiefs did yesterday is that we're not kicking the ball as we usually have been doing, and that impressed me. Like, a lot of times people were saying, why ndlala ibhola emuva, dlaleni, do it. It was better than kicking it. Trying to combine 3, 4, 5 passes, that was much better. It made me happy. Guys, have you noticed the goals that Kaizer Chiefs are scoring is when they combine? And even yesterday, the goal that we did score, it was from the back, it moved into midfield, it moved to Potsane, Modi, accelerate, plays 1-2 Nomdu, Mtansane who had an assist, and then he scores such a screamer. What a goal, what a wonderful goal. But where did it come from? It came from combining, it came from playing the ball from the back. And I'm saying, Mina, if we're looking at how we're playing the ball from the back, I'm looking and thinking, there is work that needs to be done, but it's doable. You get me? It's not a situation yoguti we're not doing it at all. So how are we gonna know where the problem lies? But now we know good, okay, we can do it starting from the back, but the problem is the organization of our midfield, the setup of our midfield then leads us to a situation where we cannot progress the ball with as much ease as we would want to. I saw Frostlight times trying to invert to form that sort of a box midfield, but I don't know whether that was instinctive because it wasn't something that it did throughout the midfield. For those of you who don't know what a box midfield is, it's basically the fact that most teams play 3 people in midfield. So what happens is one of the fullbacks, and sometimes it's a winger. In most teams, though, how they are using it, they're using one of the fullbacks to get into midfield, be a double pivot with the 6, the person who's already playing as a 6, and then we have 2 people in midfield and then two more in front of them. So basically you make a 4v3 if you're playing against another team that plays a 3 in the midfield, or you have a 4v2 if you're playing against a team that has 2 people in midfield. And in doing that, you're having a numerical advantage through the middle. And if you have a numerical advantage through the middle, that means you can get into dangerous areas easier because you have more people to progress the ball. And look at where the combinations were when Umodi scored that goal, because he had inverted in and we kind of had a numerical advantage. So Mteto was trying to pick up Umodi, but Umodi plays the ball to Umdantsane, and then now who's this guy? Ushandis Umteto is trying to mark Umdu plays the 1-2 with Umodi. Now you see he's already outnumbered, and then Umodi takes the ball, he takes a shot, it's a goal. Once again, numerical advantage, but we did not do it consistently enough, and that's something that I can say at least we can work on that, because now I have a concept yoguti, wow, we can actually combine a few passes now. I'm happy with that. I will say that that's my thing that I take away from that game. Yes, we are not progressing the ball with much ease going forward, but we've started playing out from the back and combining passes, and that makes me happy because now we have something to build upon. Fix the setup of our midfield, and then everything else will sort of fall into place as time progresses, which leads us to our forwards who can thrive against Sundowns because they are fast and quick, and you can play the same front 3 and score 3 goals against Sundowns, but also you can play the same front 3 and not score a single goal against Sundowns. Why? Because if you look at our front 3, Umvala versus Dupre, right? I'm talking size. Pace wise, Dupre wins any day of the week. But Sundowns, how they're playing right now, people are calling it dirty, right? They say it's dirty, but it's not. It is kind of dirty, but it's called tactical fouling for a reason. Because this is what Sundowns does. They play high line, they press the team wins the ball back, they try to play on a transition, Umvala will hold that player, or Tebo Homkona will come in, foul that player, or they will play shoulder to shoulder, and or referee shoulder to shoulder is legal. But they will just be physical in a way that can be a foul but not a bookable offense. So all referee, they overlook that. Guarantee that's actually stopping genuine goal scoring opportunities. But once again, if you're doing it in the halfway line to the ref, it doesn't look like it's dangerous. It doesn't look like it's a bookable offense. So usize gapotsane, usize Dupre, those are the only things that worry me against the Sundowns Guti. As much as their pace is going to be of great use if we're playing transition against Sundowns, their size might just be a disadvantage, especially if you are going to play Dupre through the middle. Because if you play Dupre through the middle, then you have that problem. You want Dupre to play. What you want to actually see Dupre do is play with the ball in front of him, chasing after the ball, not with him trapping the ball and trying to turn. Because once again, unomvale emva kwakhe ozovela muthi gudlu ampush, or kunopotul uzovela qhamuka ampush, or who's bigger than him, so they are going to bully him. And I see them doing this thing all the time. They bully Dupre, and it does really well when he's wide, because then at least has the ball in front of him and then he can take a player on. And that is why I always say ukuthi uDupree is not a striker for Chiefs. He's a more of a wing. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be a Chiefs. No. Because niyamisquotana ninjalo nje abantu bayahlupha. I am saying he's not a striker. He's more of a winger who then cuts in and does those dangerous things. Look at Mo Salah, how many goals he scores. I'm not saying he's like Salah. I am saying an example of a player who's small but still has enough muscle and then cuts in and causes dangerous things. Messi in his prime cuts in, even Namanje still does those kind of things, but now he starts more centrally. But he's smart. He doesn't start centrally actually. He starts wide, and then when he sees space, he drifts in and then he makes things happen. But Tutu is not a playmaker. He's just that kind of a player who takes people on and dribbles past them and creates dangerous opportunities or ends up scoring himself. So it's better for him to start wide, and also it just takes him away from, let's just minya the business of those areas, because you have Sundowns who are going to also have Umkwena trying to make sure good nothing happens there, who are going to have Umvala who's going to try and make sure Udupri can fill him. So Agave Society, if you play the ball, he's making angular runs or diagonal runs, and then he can be more dangerous in that sense. So what's my overall look at this before we go to our player ratings is that Kaizer Chiefs have built well in terms of trying to build from the back, which is good. The first time in the matches that I've watched so far. Disadvantage, we still need to figure out the better setup for our midfield, because it's not functional, and that's a very big problem. And one other worry is the fact that defensively we're still conceding a lot of chances that might come down to our setup of our midfield, but I'm glad Ugutu Peterson has done really well. Another thing, by the way, which is good, and the other one which is not so great, is the fact that I'm happy Uguti yesterday coach made the right subs, right? Bringing on Usamgelo, bringing on Umtu, Yabona Uzo reignite a game to be in our favor, not for us to just sit back and absorb pressure, right? But we're still on the front foot because we're playing against a team that is one man short, right? So we should be on the front foot. However, what still worries me is the fact that you look at the Chiefs. Once again, I sit behind the technical area for a reason. Maybe maybe I shouldn't wear these 2 games anymore. But usukumisa uSamkelo agqoke awumapha umfana ahlaliswe phansi. I saw this yesterday. Umtu was ready and getting stripped to come on, and then they sit him down again. And then 2 minutes later they realize, you know what, asimfake. This is not like 5 minutes after they made other subs. No, he ended up going in. No, Samgelo, was it Samgelo? I forgot. But ungene nalo muntu lo obengena vele, and I was like, so why did you have him sit down? It tells me sometimes ngathi abekho sure about the subs that they are making, and if you are not sure about the substitutions that you should be making, then that kind of worries me, because that tells me ukuthi igame uyayifunda but you are second guessing yourself. I would rather you just trust yourself and make the decisions that you make and live to say I made this decision and I stuck with it, not lento yokuthi ngiyakwenza but angikwenzi. So yeah. Okay, player ratings. Peterson in goal, definitely our man of the match. I would say that guy saved us, and people underestimate that. This is the highest performance I will give. It's a 10. No. Should I give him a 10? I'm trying to see did he make mistakes? No, he didn't. 10. And then we go to right back here to Ukweneka. As I said, going forward, really good. Defensively, not so great. I'll give Ukweneka a solid 6.5. And then left back, Frosler, as I said, contenders of man of the match, 8. And then you have Titloko Nomsimango. I would say there's equally as efficient. Both of them get a 7. Matt, Castillo, still victims of the system. I will also give them a 7. 6.5. 6.5. And then a 10, Umtanzane, no, 7, yeah. Umtanzane, no, he's not getting a 7. Umtanzane didn't have a good game, shame. He had a below average performance. He did get that assist. So because of that assist and that assist alone, I'll give him a 5. And then moving on to our wingers, Potsane, he wasn't visible in the game, was he? Not that much. When he's on the ball, you can see Ugutim Nandu Potsane, but it wasn't that visible on the game. So 6. Modi, what a goal. And what I said to the guys that I was sitting with, what I see Ugutu Mode is lacking, he's lacking a pass. Ne? He's lacking a pass. He's a winger, he can take on people, he can dribble past people, but he's lacking that pass. He's lacking to, because some vision, angathi pass, vision, because akawabona amapass akumele awenze. So it's either akawabona amapass okumele awenze, or he's not confident enough in ukuthi he's capable of making those passes. So because of that, but brilliant performance, good goal, I would give him a 7, right? Because there are other instances where he could have made a better pass, but he didn't, and then he ended up losing the ball. So maybe let's bump it up to 7.5. And then Ashley Dupree had an okay game. They were pulling him, victim of a system once again. 6.5. Bantu bazothi ngiyasangana ekhanda. But that's my opinion. And then when it comes to our subs zethu, I saw Matlo being pushed and played as a winger. I was like, what's going on here? I don't know whether bamfakela usize wakhe or ini, but mhlawumbe usazongiconvince uMatlo. When he came on, it didn't have an impact in the game that desired, because him and Saile were the first changes, and I don't think he had the desired effect that he was supposed to have. So 5.5. And then Mduduzi Shabalala comes on. I think he also won us a foul that led to a goal. Brilliant once again, confident on the ball. If you're a sub, that's exactly what you want to see on a player, especially if you're being played last season and now you're being benched. You see some players sulking because of that, but he's not sulking. He's out there trying to perform and trying to prove that he belongs in the team. So once again, 2, good performance. 7, Samgelo, he came and he was just there. I didn't see much of him. 6, Saile scores a goal, but he didn't do other things. Mina ngifuna ukuthi umdlali ngimjaje ngegoal, because if it's not just about scoring goals. It is actually, but the thing is, sometimes if you are not getting a goal, then what are you doing? You should be assisting. But once again, system. Bengathi coach wasn't sure whether he wanted to play Usile as a 9 or he wanted to play them both as a 9, as if it was a 4-4-2. Bengaboni ukuthi kwenzakalani. So some of these things baba abadlala victim yes system. So Saile would get a 6.5. He did score a goal, so maybe let's say 7. And then I think I've given all the players my ratings. Now we go to the coach. Fix our midfield. I'm happy that you told the team to start playing, which is really good, but now we need to fix our midfield and allow the ball to progress through the middle, and then we'll start being really dangerous to a lot of teams. That's me. I think Unsegi for yesterday's, he gets a 6. 6 for how he managed the game, for how he set up the team in a way-ish, because it didn't get to a point where he needed to get to, which is make our midfield play. So until our midfield starts playing, I don't think he's going to be getting anything above 6. So today, he gets a 6. Give me your own player ratings and your thoughts on yesterday's game down in the comment section below. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to eat. I'm going to sleep. I need some rest. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, remember, Khosi, I'll pay you more.